Happy New Year's, everybody. Welcome to 2013. And on that note, we're ringing in the new year with a fistful of tangos. It's Funn1k, Fear, Karaoke, Cinderin, Merlini, Sing Sing, Korok, and S4. 8 of the top players from North America and Europe brought together here for $700 in US dollars in rewards, or prize money as we call it in the modern days. But hey, in the old West, it was cold hard cash, and we'll deliver those winnings by PayPal. But nonetheless, $700, the prize pool increased because we've changed the format to make it a best out of 3 for every match after Winners Bracket Round 1. And along with that, we also had a very generous donation from a community member. So on that note, we've increased the prize pool. Big thanks to you guys for making this tournament possible, for tuning in such huge numbers. And, well, today we have a very special match for you. It's going to be one of your winner bracket semifinals. We already played one yesterday, that being Cinderin versus Korok. But before we get to today's broadcast, very quickly, for those who are new here to the Tango, to the 1v1 showdown, let's go over the rules very fast. No bottle crowing, no soul ring or neutral usage of any kind. No extra 150 gold for Courier. But, with that being said, we do have rules for hero selection. There are 3 predetermined possible matchups. We go over these with professional players. That's right, pros have reviewed and signed off on pretty much every matchup. And while you guys are sitting here flaming them, I'm laughing with them in the chat because they've actually played these, and for the most part, they think they're all quite even. We throw in a few here and there just because we think they'll be fun. And hey, if the players don't like them, that's what we give them the secret veto for. They each get 1 veto. There are a total of 3 matchups. So that leaves us with 2 possibilities. One is they both veto the same matchup. If they do, then we randomly select one of the other 3 to be used for today's match. If they veto separate matchups, you do the math. 3 minus 2 equals 1. That leaves 1 matchup, and then we'll obviously be using that one. The new format, there is no picking, and it really doesn't matter anyway. We do use coin flips just to determine how the first game will go, who plays which hero on which side first. But after that, the heroes and sides are fixed, and from there on out, it all comes down to both players getting a shot at each side of the matchup. So you'll play one side of the matchup, then the players switch sides. The heroes remain the same, though. And so if let's say we see Shadow Fiend versus Viper, Radiant versus Dire in Game 1, we'll see the same matchup in Game 2. We'll just see different players handling each. So that's the format. That's the rules for hero selections. For each game, the first to 2 kills or 2 towers wins. It's a best out of 3 format. So after Game 1, we swap sides. We do it all over again. And if it comes to a game number 3, we do a 1v1 Shadow Fiend mid, we mix it up, we try to keep it even. There's no way to actually buy items or spend gold on heroes created with cheats, and that's the only way to create a duplicate hero since there are no duplicate hero modes built into Dota 2. So as a result, we try to make it fair, no items, no runes. The first to 1 kill or 1 tower wins. And if you're asking, why Shadow Fiend LD? It's a classic matchup. It dates back to Dota 1. Now, in Dota 1, they have same hero mode, so you get to use items, and it gets to be a little more interesting. But hey, we're keeping it fair as possible. So if you want to be that best at 1v1 mid, you got to be able to beat another player 1v1 with Shadow Fiend. It's man mode for a reason, but it doesn't have to come to that. You can just sweep them 2-0. We did see that yesterday with Cinderin taking care of Korok in our first winners bracket semifinals. He's waiting. He's awaiting the winner of Funn1k versus Fear. That's our match for today. Of course, Funn1k from Team Empire, Fear from Evil Geniuses. Funn1k known for his offlane play as of late, Fear for his carry play. But these players have been around for a while, and especially Fear. He's been in the scene for a long time. So let's see just how versatile the old man really is. The loser of this match, they drop down, and they will face... Oh, who do they face? The winner of Sing Sing versus Merlini. The winner, of course, as mentioned, goes on to face Cinderin in the winner bracket finals, and each player has a shot at winning $40 per match from here on out. A match meaning the full best out of 3. So that's the brackets. That's where we stand as of now. Let's dive into today's matchup. Puck versus Tiny, the first possible matchup. Pretty interesting, pretty volatile matchup if Puck should have the edge, I think by most counts, having phase shift to be able to dodge Tiny's initial barrage. Avalanche does come in waves though, so even if you phase shift dodge it at the early levels, it's still going to hit you. If Tiny ever catches you, baits out that phase shift, and he nails an avalanche toss combo, you're most likely dead. Puck is a rather frail little fairy. But at the same time, he's got the ranged harassment. His recent base damage buff makes him a lot stronger 1v1, and Tiny has low armor. So I would say Puck has the edge in this matchup, but if Tiny gets a lucky rune, maybe he can come out on top, rushing that bottle, being able to spam the waves down. This is something Tiny can look to do, so definitely in a matchup that Puck should have a bit of an edge in, but that's why the players get to play both sides. So that's our first possible matchup. Enigma versus Batrider. We saw this matchup actually in the G League, and it was between LGD International versus LGD versus DK. RTK was playing the Enigma in the offlane, and the Batrider was being played safe lane by Braxton. Actually, ROTK struck first. He got a kill there, a solo kill using the Black Hole. Now, that was in the off lane, and that was with Soul Rings being allowed because it's a tournament match. It's a little bit different 1v1 mid. Enigma, sure, he can deny creeps. He'll have the level advantage over Batrider, but he can't just spam a Soul Ring and auto GG the game. He can't bottle Crow, and Enigma is very mana dependent. Bottle doesn't really cover all of his mana needs, so especially as the game progresses, he's going to have to be able to control the runes. He'll really have to out-deny the Batrider. Maybe we see the Enigma ferry in a lot of clarity potions. We'll see exactly what they go for in this particular matchup. Obviously, Magic Wand will be your best ally to deal with Batrider and also to keep that mana pool high. The final matchup, TA versus Venomancer, a classic matchup. I think the original time I saw this in a competitive match dates back to the Beyond the Summit World Tour. Mouse Sports versus Team DK. In game 1 of that series, Sexy Bambo absolutely thrashed them as his solo mid TA. And in game, this was shortly after TA got released into Dota 2, so in a sense was pretty new. And then in game 2, what did DK do to counter it? They let the TA through, and then they put super on a solo mid Venomancer, and it went exactly the opposite way. And you can sort of see why if you think about the skill sets. The new Refraction, more expensive. TA did get a nerf, 100 mana charge now per Refraction. This was with the old Refraction, and Bambo still got shut down. Venomancer has 3 damage over time sources. Poison Sting once it hits level 2. Venomous Scale. Of course, the wards, each auto attack is going to provide a damage source. And then your Poison Nova. So lots of ways to remove that Refraction, as well as the dual slows from Poison Sting and Poison Gale to kite the TA. At the same time, if TA plays it safe, if she gets a lucky rune, if she's able to get to level 6 or 7 without really being harassed and getting some decent farm, Veno is going to be the one who has trouble. It is a matchup that can go either way. We've seen it before. And let's see how it happens in this particular game. But those are the matchups. Let's look at the vetoes. Funn1k vetoes Puck versus Tiny. Damn it, Funn1k. I really wanted to see that matchup. I love seeing really well played Puck. It's one of my favorite things in the game. I think a lot of us enjoy that. Well, maybe we'll get a Puck matchup in later in the tournament. But Fear is going to veto the Enigma versus Batrider. That leaves us with TA versus Venomancer. This overlay is wrong, by the way. This was not actually how the matchup worked. Gods, you noob. You gave me bad information. Fire Gods 2013. It was Fire LD 2012. It's time for Fire Gods 2013. Right, Elgato? Meow! That wasn't her. But it's gonna be actually Fear playing the Venomancer in game 1 on the Radiant side, and Funn1k on the TA on the Dire. So just flip those two around in your head. That's game 1. However this game turns out in game 2, we'll do it the other way. So we've gone over the rules, we've gone over the brackets, we've talked ourselves to death. Let's get inside the game.
Prepare for battle.
Welcome back, everybody, to game number 1, Fear versus Funn1k, your winner bracket semifinals for a Fistful of Tangoes. And what do I see here? We have a Yarobi from DC fanboy. This guy, Yarobi from DC, if you haven't heard of him, you're a peasant, you're a noob. Get out of here. He is the best solo mid in the world. Everybody who's anybody knows that, and I can see that even EG Sphere is a fan. Unfortunately, Yarobi has recently retired without competing in Rise Dota's 1v1 tournament. A shame that such a talent just had to slip away from the scene. He really was ahead of his time. On the Dire side, we have Funn1k of Team Empire, known particularly for his clinks and his wisp play. Is going to be rushing a bottle. Courier sitting at base, not using it to scout runes. Fear, however, could be saving for something from the side shot, but a 1v1 mid, you don't really want to wait around to get a Ring of Health or an energy boost or anything like that. You could be spending that gold on consumables, you could be spending it on early boots or bottles, so most likely, just a very safe Courier Scout for the rune. Fear, lots of extra regen, double salves and a set of tangos. This will allow him to really be aggressive in the lane, harass a lot, try and deny that early bottle from Funn1k. As soon as he sees Funn1k's build, this eco build, he's going to be looking to harass a lot. He has opted for Poison Sting at level 1. Now, Poison Sting will not actually remove refraction charges until it hits level 2 because it's below the damage threshold after magical reduction. But once he gets that level 2 Poison Sting, every auto attack removes multiple refraction charges. It makes refraction virtually useless. You can see the auto attack only removes 1, but every auto attack still removes 1, and then the Poison Sting will remove extra. Every time he's throwing in an attack, Funn1k, forced to back off, pops the early refraction, but hasn't actually used it to last hit anything yet. And this is the problem with TA 1v1 mid. She is very dependent on those refraction charges to get last hits. Funn1k so far used 2 sets of refraction, only has 1 deny. Really not as efficient as you'd like, and it's largely because Fear is doing a good job. Even if he's not actually denying creeps, he's messing up Funn1k's last hitting. It is a crucial tactic in 1v1, and often why creep stats can be misleading. Now Fear going back for Gale. We'll most likely see him get another point in Poison Sting so that it will go through refraction charges. As for Funn1k, well, it's a pretty obvious way to build the hero. You got to get a point in Side Blades. That allows you to harass. You may want to go for a point in Meld, but if Fear's smart, he'll get Sentry so that he can't hide inside Meld, and you can also ensure that your Gale doesn't miss. If you actually drop a Sentry before the Gale comes out, then even if Funn1k tries to Meld dodge it, it won't work. If you don't have True Sight, though, you can Meld dodge Gale, even if it passes right over the hero. So we'll see. Funn1k doing a decent job here of getting that harassment out, and now equalizes the creep score. Off of that, he should have his bottle. Bottle is coming now. To Fear, we've seen some Sentries delivered, and this is what I'm talking about. It's not just to see him when he's hiding inside Meld, although that's a part of it, but it's also, most importantly, when you throw the Gale out, you don't want Funn1k with a quick reaction to be able to Meld dodge it, because that Gale is your primary way to deal with TA. Sure, Poison Sting's decent, but once TA gets some more levels, say level 5 to 7, if you miss your Gale, you're in a lot of trouble, and the worst thing is when you should have it, but you don't. Fear earlier did scout the rune. He saw it wasn't top, so he knows it's going to be bottom. Nobody's gone for that rune just yet. Throws the Gale out onto Funn1k, and now the auto attacks commencing. Really working Funn1k down. You can see the Venomous Gale, as well as the auto attacks, as well as Poison Sting. It chews the refraction. At the same time, though, this is a volatile matchup. Funn1k, you can see constantly moving back and forth, to and fro, just trying to find the right angle for the side blades to connect. That does really hurt. There's one side blade hit. Can he find some more? Oh yeah, he's finding some more. Fear's being driven back. Fear's got to be careful. Doesn't want to get that salve canceled. He's actually going to go back in. Throws the Gale out. Refraction cooling down in 4 seconds. Drops the Sentry Ward. Thinks he can first blood this. 2 seconds. 1 second. Gets it off as the killing blow connects. The entire refraction is instantly gone. It dissipates, but you can see he's able to bottle up all the refractions there just enough in between the poison ticks to survive. And now Funn1k going to go pick up that bottom rune. Has an Invis rune. Has a bottle. Only level 4, really can't go for a kill, and Fear should recognize this and not be overly afraid. If it's something like a haste rune, maybe he can kill you off. But aside from that, you should be relatively okay. So it's really smart by Fear, the way that he scouted with his courier. He waited until he saw Funn1k in the lane, then he sent it out. We saw some other players earlier in this tournament just running the courier in blindly, hoping that their opponent wasn't going there, but that's a very risky maneuver, and your courier can get sniped. If your courier gets sniped in 1v1, you give your opponent a lot of gold, and you pretty much screw yourself in the matchup because you're not going to be able to get a new courier without walking back to base. There's your Gale and your Poison Sting auto attacks going to work. Funn1k, no refraction for a few seconds. This should be the first blood. There's no salve. Fear does it. Early first blood from him, and this is going to put Funn1k heavily on the back foot when it comes to last hitting. It's been even, but Fear, this is what he needed to do at the early levels. This is where the Venomancer is going to shine. Has gone for 2 points in Venomous Gale, now leveling up that Poison Sting further. The nice thing about the Poison Sting is every time you auto-tech, it's a free source of damage over time. The Gale, you can only throw it out every so often, so over in a 1v1 matchup, it's not going to offer you as much. It's much more of a crowd control, and he's going to go head top rune. He doesn't actually have wards on the runes, but this is the rune that you always check first, and what do you know, it's there. He's got the bottle up. Let's see what he does. Eats a tango on the way, and then heads back to the lane. As for Funn1k, only now arriving, opted to buy the boots over getting a TP scroll. Is going to miss out on the little CS, but just making sure that you have those boots up is crucial against Venomancer. And as for the Veno, he should have his boots coming out now. Boots, as well as Magic Wand. You see the power of Magic Wand in a 1v1, even when your opponent isn't a hero that really spams abilities. Like TA, she uses Refraction pretty decently often, but not really that much. You know, it's not like a sticky napalm. And even then, just getting that wand can really make the difference. Funn1k's being driven back. He's going to have to man up here. He doesn't have Meld. He can't hide inside of it. Trying to find the side blade angle. He can't do it. Now Force driven back to the bottom rune. Fear giving chase. When it comes to that base move speed, TA is a little bit higher. But can Fear put the ward? He's gotten a point, and the Plague Ward's giving him vision up the hill. He lands the Gale. What a snipe by Fear. Funn1k on the run. He's got Refraction. He's using it, but is it enough? I don't think so. It's ticking down. Out of Refraction charges. Out of bottle charges. Fear gets the kill. 2-0 Fear. Wipes out Funn1k in this series. We are headed to a game number 2. Wow, that was impressive by Fear. Throwing the ward up the hill, landing the maximum range Gale right at the edge, and forces a game 2 off of it. He'll be leading this series 1-0, but Funn1k now gets to try his hand on the Radiant Venomancer. Fear will have to play that TA Dire, and let's see how it's all going to turn out. I'm LD. We'll take a quick 2-minute break here beyond the summit, then we'll come back, and we'll have another match coming your way. Stay tuned for more action from a Fistful of Tangos.